Welcome back. Urban Water Solutions, the focus this week, as Singapore hosts one of the world's leading water events, the Singapore International Water Week. Now in its 11th edition, it brings together about 2,000 global leaders and experts at a time of mounting pressure on water systems worldwide, driving solutions to urgent challenges from urban water supply to flood resilience and the escalating impacts of climate change. And joining us now to break down what's at stake are Ryan Yuen, who is a Managing Director of SIWW, and Michael Toh, who is Managing Director of the Singapore Water Association. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Now, Ryan, let's start with you. What can we expect from this year's Singapore International Water Week?
So the 11th Singapore International Water Week officially opens tomorrow, and we're expecting 2,000 delegates, of which there are about 700 global leaders who will be coming. There's also going to be a big exhibition, the Water Expo, and we're expecting about 25,000 participants. During the 4 days, we're going to run almost more than 100 sessions, and we can expect lots of knowledge sharing, peer-to-peer learning, case studies, and really the idea here is to foster collaboration and build business partnerships.
And speaking of which, why is the Water Week particularly important right now?
Well, as you alluded just now during your opening, the world is facing a shortage of water. There's limited water availability. On top of that, there's going to be rising demand for water, not only from municipal, but also from the industries. And then you layer that with climate change impacts and extreme weather events. So against all this a backdrop, it is very important that we have this Singapore International Water Week as a platform for leaders to come together to share experience and to build a shared vision in terms of what actions is needed to be taken for us to build a sustainable water future for everyone.
And for a little bit more about what we can expect in the festival, let's bring in Michael to the conversation. Can you tell us more about the Singapore Pavilion and what visitors can expect to see or hear at the pavilion?
Visitors can expect the largest ever Singapore Pavilion, which is organized by the Singapore Water Association. We have 88 exhibitors, and of which 45 are new exhibitors. It's really a reflection of the diversity and the excitement around the industry to address some of the challenges that Ryan mentioned just now. I think it's opportunities for companies to create new business, create new markets. Companies are investing into new technologies. They're also looking for new partnership. I think we have organized ourselves into three, what we call significant growth sectors, such as coastal protection and flood resilience, water solutions for industries, as well as AI. I think what we will see at the Singapore Pavilion really is a marketplace where people can come together, users can look for solutions, as well as an opportunity to create a business opportunity. So it's extremely important that we have this thing at this moment that Ryan was mentioning just now.
Well, Michael, you mentioned AI earlier, so I want to bring in Ryan with your perspective on this. One of the challenges as well is the growing demand from AI and data centers. So how is Singapore balancing these needs, both needing to power our data centers, but also making sure that we protect our resources?
Yeah, so it's a good question. In Singapore, half of our demand actually of water comes from the industries. And it's not just data centers, but other industries like semiconductor industries. And so from Singapore's perspective, we tackle it on two fronts. Number one, ensuring that we always have enough water supply to meet our needs. We have our 4 national taps. And among the 4 national taps, we have new water and desalination, which are weather resilient supplies that will help us to ensure that even in periods of drought, we have enough water. But we need to also tackle the issues on the demand side. And that's why we are working with industries, requiring them, especially the water intensive industries, to mandate that they have water efficiency plans, that they recycle as much water as they can to reduce the need for potable water.
Well, Michael, earlier you mentioned more than 80 innovators at the Singapore Pavilion. Yes. Are any of them addressing the challenges that Ryan is bringing up with AI and data centers?
Yes, I think it's one of the fastest growing segments in our Singapore Pavilion. I think the companies are building on their track record, producing new water, serving industries that's already located in Singapore to manage their water footprint and to also use resources more sustainably. So in fact, I think what we see this challenge is not just particular to Singapore. think we're seeing unique across Southeast Asia and across Asia Pacific, where industries are growing and there's a demand for water. I think beyond just the solutions, we are also creating knowledge platform and knowledge exchange. I think it's useful for buyers to meet sellers and talk about some of the more pressing challenges, which what Ryan was just mentioning just now. And they can learn from Singapore as well.
Yeah, the marketplace, as you were
That's
alluding
right.
to.
Yes, that's right.
So how else would these innovators also tackle broader challenges, like climate change and also water security?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, an important question that we will address at the Water Week. Urbanization, economic growth, climate change, of course, is making the demand for water even more important. So, for example, coastal protection. You are seeing communities, government trying to invest to make sure that communities are safe from the vagaries of climate change. Industries are growing. How do they conserve water? How do they use water more sustainably? So I think what we see is really a confluence of these challenges, but we're also seeing an emergence of solutions such as AI and smart technology. These can help us to optimize solutions. So in terms of what Singapore can offer is really the opportunity for us to lend our knowledge, our expertise to help some of our neighboring region to also reach out and then solve some of these challenges that they're facing.
And speaking of which, Ryan, before we go very quickly, how can Singapore then share its expertise in water management broadly with the rest of the region?
Yes, precisely through Singapore International Waterway. Actually, one of the key focus is actually to bring a lot of the regional players to come from the end user stakeholders like utilities and cities, bring them to Singapore International Water Week and expose them to some of the solutions that are available, some of the industry expertise that we have through the Singapore Water Association, and create a conversation and a dialogue and a coalition so that we can then create meaningful outcomes for the region as well.
Ryan, Michael, thank you so much for sharing about Water Week with us. I've been chatting with Ryan Yuen from SIWW and Michael Toh from the Singapore Water Association. They've been filling us in on the Singapore International Water Week.